Hello, Robs. We're back with more books. New book arrivals, most which I did not expect, and then a bunch. Yeah, I didn't expect any of these books, honestly. Look into my eyes. Mary Beard, Women in Power, a Manifesto. I don't know if this is a new book. It seems to be like an old book, but made new. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. No, 2017, 2018. Let's look at Mary Beard. The main reason I got this one was because I saw a book or two that I have. Herland, which I definitely have. Yeah, I have this one among my 20 or so feminist, so-called feminist books about women, feminism, psyche, as a hero, that kind of stuff. But yeah. So that's the main reason why I picked it up. And then I think I read something about Trump in here, so that should be good to read. I saw the name and I didn't even want to read it because I didn't want to ruin the surprise of whatever she was going to say. Hopefully she goes unhinged about it. That would be nice. That's usually the preference. But I did not read it. Maybe I imagined it was in this book and maybe it was in a different book, but I don't think so. Speaking of such feminist books, The Girl and the Goddess. And I mean, this is an ungodly looking, it looks like a dead person. Dead mask. Visiting Sam's house. I don't even know what this is about. Obviously, it's poems. Poems. What's it say? Meet Paro, a girl with a strong will, a full heart, and much to learn. Born into a family, reeling from the ruptures of partition in India. We follow her as she crosses the precarious lines between childhood, teenage discovery. Oh, man. I didn't realize it was a book about teenage discovery. So what is this? Just like a poem novel? I don't know what it is. Probably should have read it. Anyways, that's that. And then there's a third, which I got at a estate sale today. Herself Talks with Women Concerning Themselves by E.B. Lowry. Found in Aunt Nellie's books. All right. Would help if we knew who Aunt Nellie was. 1919, Forbes and Company. Originally printed in 1911, a recent number of the Journal of American Medical Association contained this paragraph. A correspondent asked for a good book describing the female generative organs anatomically, physiologically, and pathologically, treating also of childbirth, written in language easily understood by a layman. So yeah, prevention of pregnancy, causes of sterility, abortions, embryology, the marriage relation. Yeah. What the hell is this? I'm afraid to look. Jesus Christ, knee chest position. I don't like the looks of that character. How shall the child be told? Why boys go astray. Early instruction for boys. White slavery, which was basically kidnapping, sex trade. So yeah, another book for my feminist books. Tending the Earth, Mending the Spirit. The Healing Gifts of gardening. I randomly pick up books on subjects that I wouldn't collect normally, but I guess the end game is a bookstore someday, just to have a bookstore. Maybe I'll have a bookstore for one day and just quit. That would be the goal, but I know it's rather expensive. It's much easier just to handle stuff online. Just Folks, Ed Gray guest. As I've stated previously, he was a Detroit poet, not born here, born in England, but he immigrated to America, became a copy boy at a newspaper, the Detroit Free Press, and eventually started publishing his poetry in the papers. And then he became a bestseller. Be great if there was a Hudson's label at the end, but no, there is not. His books are actually worth some money, probably $10-12. I actually paid too much for it today. I went to an estate sale and paid $2 for the hardcover, so whatever. Hamlet, William Shakespeare, illustrated by W.G. Simons. Obviously not an old book, but a decent copy. I haven't read much Shakespeare, even though I have 47 books on Shakespeare. Read some bios on him. Mostly plays are not where it's at for me, though I have read some of his sonnets. Classic conundrums, fiendish puzzles from the 19th century. Ken Russell and Philip Carter, obviously a Barnes & Noble selection. Focus. There you go. Grandma's Party. The Eiffel Tower. Simple addition. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, what does 9 plus 5 equal? Strange subtraction. How can you take 2 from 5 and leave 4? This would be a good one to do, actually. I will actually do this. We'll do a little classic conundrums, buddy. All right, let's get into some of the estate sale books. J.D. Johnson, Franklin, Bradford County. Looks like it says Pennsylvania. Looks like his signature as well. I believe this book's 1843. Elements of Logic, or a summary of the general principles and different modes of reasoning, by Levi Hedge, Stereotype Edition. Whatever that means. Elements of Logic. Couldn't pass this up for $2. It's not in great shape, but it's also not in bad shape. I think the sun rises. These imply I am thinking the sun is rising. So yeah, another old book. Next 2 books I bought for a specific reason. And that is the ufologist Laura Mundo, or Mundo, however you say her name, who I have some personal artifacts of that I bought at an estate sale. She came from Boston, Massachusetts, but lived, I think, the last 5 years of her teenage years in the state of Maine. And thus, I have this in case I ever do, as I plan, some deep research on Mrs. Mundo, who later became Laura Marxer. So, with that in mind, I bought this book, State o' Maine by Louise Dickinson Rich, as well as this book, The Coast of Maine, the new revised informal history and guide case. I don't even know what's the name of the town is. Belmont. What the hell is this? Page 313. Things to see and do in Kennebunk. Let's see if Belmont is even mentioned in here. It's not. It is. Belmont. Belfast. No. Is it Belmont? Yeah, so I guess this book's useless to me. No, it can't be useless totally. I will use it for something, bruv. One second. Medieval and Modern History by Myers. What's that say? It's a revised edition. Leslie N. Cole, September 7th, 1915, which is what, about 109 years ago, coming up in a few days. 1905 copy by Philip Van Ness Myers. Yeah, that gives you the entire history of everything. Well, medieval history. $2. Can't pass it up. I mean, I could have, but I didn't. Mary Beard. Gems from James Whitcomb Riley, who I actually have a stack of books by and have tried to sell them for several years, and they're not really worth very much, but this is a pretty book, so as you can see, this is kind of a faux leather, not full leather. Gems from Riley. Obviously, it's not exactly in great shape, but don't care. It's got some nice colored lithographs. D. Wolfe Fisk and Company, Boston, 1904. First day again we stretch our limbs upon the bed where first our simple childish prayers were said, and while without the gallant cricket trills a challenge to the solemn whippoorwills and fling on the chorus with his glee, the katydid wets all the harmony, the feather edge of incoherent song. We drop asleep and peacefully along the current of our dreams we glide away to the dim harbor of another day. Right. So yeah. I think I only paid $1 for that because it was paperback, but as I did this Genesee County Postcard History Series 1900 to 1960. This is obviously Michigan. Maybe not obvious to you, but to me it's obvious. And since I have about 50 to 75 of these sort of books, just for research purposes, property of Timothy Harlan. Sorry, Tim, it's mine now, buddy. I purchased it. You can take that up with the estate sale company. Blah. This is another book by a Michigan author, Gwen Frostic. Wisps of Mist by Gwen Frostic, who was a woman who made wood block cuts of certain things. Oh, don't tell me that I lost the postcard out of here. A lot of these came with postcards, and I think it may have fallen out of here. Please say it didn't fall out. No, I ain't seeing it. There it is, son of a bitch. Gwen Frostic, creator of Presscraft Papers, Benzonia, Michigan. I'm not sure exactly where that is. But if you look up at the stars and have a wondrous feeling, if your heart delights at the antics of a chickadee, if a little toad winks as you pass by, or you wish he would, then Presscraft papers were created for you. Send for free booklet because you appreciate loveliness. These books, she published numerous ones over the years. Like I said, the poetry is slight Hallmarkish. Slight and Hallmarkish, but lots of people love the art that she put in there. So these are very popular on certain Michigan book collectors series or groups. So I pick them up whenever I can. $2 is probably a little too much since it's only worth about 10 or so, and it's not signed, so that takes away from the value, but so be it. This is the Cosmopolitan, Volume 10, 1891. As I stated previously, the books were $2, so how could I pass this up, even though it's falling apart? After a painting by Francois Flamens, Cosmopolitan, January 1891. The People's Palace in London, visited by Elizabeth Bisland. Imagine a city the size of New York, containing over 1 million inhabitants, of a race that claims to stand in the very forefront of human progress. And in this city, not a single newspaper published, not one public library, and not one shop for the sale of books. This might pass as the description of a town in darkest Africa, but on the contrary, it lies in the very heart of civilization, Christianity, and enlightenment. Not a hand was lifted to lighten the intellectual gloom of this city of dreadful night. Indeed, very few had the faintest conception of its condition until 7 years ago, when Walter Besant, the novelist, began its exploration in search of material for a new romance. So moved and blah blah. That shocked all around the conscience of what city is it? So it must be London, which makes sense because it says London right there. Walter Besant. Made pretty books back then, didn't it they? The Cosmopolitan, March 1891. Beauty on the French stage. If we got anything by, what's her name? Anything on Clara Ward, the Princess of Chimay. Piece of newspaper. What year? Actually, I've done newspaper searches for certain little clips like this, and all you do is just put parentheses around certain phrases, wherever they are. See, I think this is enough to prove any, and then you just search in newspaper archives, and eventually you find what it is. Then there's much in breed. Found her dead in June, killed a weasel. Mademoiselle Rosita. Who's this? Madame Murat, mother of Prince Lucien Murat. An early American princess. Who is she? Caroline Fraser, the Daisy. Rondeau. I wonder if they have an index in this thing. Probably not. Nope, they have nothing. Class of 91. View of the home grounds. Wonder where this is. Never know what you'll find in a book like this. The home, the school. The hell is it? Columbia. Probably New York then. A realized idea. Clara Conway. Miss Conway is done. Blah, blah, blah. Miss Conway was the first woman in Tennessee to assist in the organization of Teachers Institutes. Anyway, these are good books for the illustrations alone, but the stories are interesting as well. Oscar Wilde, complete and unabridged. Complete collected works, The Pictures of Dorian Gray, The Canterville Ghost, The Importance of Being Honest, An Ideal Husband, The Ballad of Reading Gaul, De Profundis, and more. The Canterville Ghost. Never heard of it. And finally, Old Phone Book of Detroit from 1885. Yeah, 1885, bruv. Fortunately, this is Detroit proper, and I've never lived in Detroit proper. So, but it could be useful in research purposes, so I got it. Plus, these are usually worth some money. Paid $1 for it, $1 or so. So there you go. That's that, bruv. Next to the phone, there's nothing better. Hey, wait. Speaking of Laura Mundo, let's see if she was in here. Oh, she lived in Dearborn. She would have been Marxer by then, I think. Yes, she definitely would have been Marxer. But she got divorced, so maybe she changed her name back. See if I can find Marxer buddy. It's always fun to look up somebody's name. Marlon, Marty, Martz, Maruk, Mary, Marvon, Marx. See also Marx. Marx. Karl the Marx. Michael Marxer. I believe that's her son. All right, we'll look up Mundo then. Mundo. Mundle. Nope, she's not in there. It's a shame, bruv. It's a damn shame. Oh well. Goodbye. That's all. Goodbye.